everybody, anyone, everyone. Welcome back. It resolves. We have resolved. You've just cast two guys who are the best of friends.
The best of friends. Yes.
Kevin?
What's up, Will?
Yeah, just hanging out.
Just hanging out?
Enjoying the day.
I like it.
The beautiful day.
If you had a good day today.
I've had a great day. We've played some Magic. We talked about some Magic. I hung out with the cats a little bit.
The cats are great.
One's super fat, and I like
That's
that
true.
one. That's my favorite one.
And his real name will remain a mystery, but we like to call him Gus.
Gus.
Which is a perfect name for a fat cat.
Gus. Just comes from your belly.
Yeah, it comes from your gut.
Which
incidentally is what he has a lot of. So it's perfect. It really is. We have had a lot of fun. Very good day. We've got a really cool lineup for you guys, I think, today. And actually, we're going to get right into it
Let's jump in.
With a random card of the day.
Yeah, this is something we thought we might do. Ties into the topic. It also just kind of keeps things fresh.
Sure.
Keeps Magic fresh for you.
And what we're hoping to do with this, too, is give some relevance to some old cards.
Sure.
Keep some of the new things in mind, too. But it's a random card. It could be anything. So we have no idea what it's going to be. We're literally sitting here about to find out what that card is.
We're going to refresh it. And it'll be a surprise to everybody.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, man. I don't want to destroy your computer because I break things I love.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. See what we get.
It is
Evil Presence. Okay. This is, let's see. It's from... Wow, it goes all the way back to Unlimited Revised editions.
Yep.
It's a 1 black enchant land. Okay. Target land is now a basic swamp. Super exciting. Okay. No. So, where is this relevant? The first comparison that comes to mind, Spreading Seas.
I was just about to say, this reminds me of the Merfolk Inn.
Perfect. Yes. So I will say this, though. It's not quite as good as Spreading Seas, obviously.
God, no. Like, Spreading Seas gets you other things.
It draws you a card. Yes. It also, because it's in Merfolk, and everything is going to have Island Walk, it gives you that sort of unblockable ability. So, that aside, this can be used in some decent ways, right? Like, how... Give me a way that you feel like this could be used.
I mean, direct comparison to Merfolk, you have Swamp Walk. If that's something you've decided to play around. Another one is kind of maybe its worst use is to keep someone off of their mana.
That was my initial thought.
Yeah, because you turn... Alright, they're playing a mono white deck. Your plane is now a swamp.
There you go.
Have fun with that. I mean, it's not great.
No. It's not It's not a great card, but it's a cool card, right? Like, you could... I think in casual play... Naturally, it would be in casual. But in casual play, you can get really cool little interactions with this.
Yeah.
It's a worse Spreading Seas, and it's for black. I think is the best thing that I can say about it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone plays this in any other deck.
Absolutely not. There's no way.
Unless... Well, okay. Let's take it a step further.
Okay.
It says target land is now a basic swamp.
Yeah.
Not like also a swamp.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So effectively, you could turn off a Mutavault. You could turn off a...
That's exactly right. You could. I mean...
Turn off Ink Moth. Turn off...
Yeah, I mean, it hits manlands pretty well, right? Like, it just turns it into a basic swamp. If they're not even running black, it's great because it keeps them off of a colored mana that they maybe needed. It hoses a dual land immediately. I mean, there's some uses for it.
It is not the worst card in Magic.
It's not the worst card in Magic.
I don't know what that would be, honestly. So that requires some thought. The worst card in Magic.
Maybe that'll be a future segment.
Maybe.
That'd be pretty fun.
We do top 5 worst cards.
Top 5 worst cards. I like that.
I'm gonna write that down.
All right. So, our card of the day, Evil Presence, enchant land, a basic swamp for 1 swamp. End of story.
Boom.
Bam.
WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get.
It's a great card.
Kevin's the generous one.
Yeah.
So, card of the day out of the way. We're going to segue into the main topic. Is that right?
The main topic, I believe, which is, how do you know if a card is good or bad?
Kevin, that's a great question. How do you know if a card is good? Easy answer.
Yeah.
If it's a good card.
Explain.
Does it do stuff you want it to do?
All right, cool.
Great card.
That's more explanation than I needed.
The honest answer? It is 100% circumstantial.
I would agree with that. I mean, you look at a card like Evil Presence, for instance, right? Like,
good example.
It's not a competitively viable card.
Never.
Ever. Right.
No,
like,
never.
there's just nowhere that you're going to play this in a competitive format.
Bummer.
That being said, right, if you are playing casual Magic and the power level of the cards that you have isn't necessarily great, maybe this is maybe it's a consideration.
Could be. What if you have a stipulation you can't play any cards higher than 3 CMC?
Sure.
Maybe
What if,
it opens things up.
I mean, if you think about it, it's a removal spell for a man land, right? So if you think about a man land as a creature, it removes it theoretically.
Not at instant speed.
Not at instant speed, but it is pretty efficient at 1.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's a good card.
Nope.
But there are situations where you could use it. So in those situations, it wouldn't be bad.
So what are some situations? So off the bat, you have to think about your format. Like we said with Evil Presence, very casual, like kitchen table
Absolutely.
Cards,
no other place for it.
Cards really flex their muscles when they enter those formats that have a wide range of cards, Legacy, Modern, Frontier-ish. It's kind of a growing format we'll get into in the future. But cards that won't roll out of formats is really where you get the power spikes, the power levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Standard usually has, some great examples as well. I'm trying to think of a strong card in Standard right now. Kevin, you got any come to mind?
Honestly, as it has been stated before, Standard is my least favorite card.
Oh, that's right. He hates the pay to play.
I do hate the pay to play, which I am a believer of Standard. I think that's what it is.
Fair.
That's all it is.
Fair to say. Well, it's a little more than that, but that's my opinion, having played Standard before. But the fact remains, Standard is going to have cards that will work very well in Standard, but that don't necessarily translate better into other formats.
Absolutely.
And you're also going to have cards, Monastery Mentor, that were okay in Standard.
Yeah.
And are even better, fantastic in
And I think the key
formats.
there is that it doesn't, just because it was good in Standard, or just because it's good in, say, Modern or some other sort of format, doesn't mean it's going to be good in every other format, right? Like Standard, the powerhouses, there's always a few cards in Standard that sort of hold their own in other formats, right? Like right now, I think Fatal Push is a great example of a card that has hit so many other formats. 1 mana removal spell, instant speed, it's great, right?
Yeah, you put it in Death Shadow, you put it in...
Absolutely. Any black sort of removal, that's what you need. And so it's a great card. It's played in Standard. It's played in Modern right now. Yeah. It's hit Legacy decks. It's through and through a very good card. Monastery Mentor, as you mentioned, great card.
Yeah.
I think, it's fair to say it's a very good value card, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's a powerful ability. It has prowess, so it can power itself up, but it can create multiple prowess triggers. So, on top of, it's a very powerful card, but in Modern, you look at it, it's not really that good. But then if you look at it in Legacy, it's its own deck. So if you look at that, and it's interesting, right? Like, that interaction is interesting. So why is that is the question.
Yeah, a great point to bring up. Why is it better in Legacy than in, what'd you say, Modern?
Modern.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. What makes it? So when you consider a card's value, especially in the format, you have to consider its synergy with other things in the format. What's legal in, say, Vintage that is not legal in Modern and other stuff?
Well, the easiest thing that comes to mind are the Moxes, the Power 9, right?
Of course.
Which are all free.
Exactly. Cards that you can cast for free.
Yep.
Why does that work with Monastery Mentor? Makes guys, powers up the guys.
Makes guys and powers them up. That's the key. And that's why you don't see it in Modern, because especially with the banning of stuff like Gitaxian Probe, there are less and less free spells. Like, you still get the low cost with the Phyrexian mana spells, but you don't have the mental missteps, you don't have the Gitaxian Probes, which you do in other formats. And
so Force of Will you don't have.
Exactly. And those cards you can cast most of them instant speed anytime, and you're gonna get value out of it, right? Like,
instantly, pretty much.
No matter what, even if they remove your Monastery Mentor, you probably got a guy or two out of it. And so it was at least a 2-for-1, even maybe a 3-for-1. You get a lot of value out of
guy or two with prowess.
Exactly.
So one thing considering guys like this, like Monastery Mentor, strong cards, especially strong creatures specifically, to me, anyway, creatures that when they hit the board, they change the way your opponent has to play the game.
Yes.
Right? Cards that we would call bombs that you have to answer to. Things that come to mind are the big stompy guy from Gate Crash. The name escapes me. The Unbowed, maybe? Ruikthar? Ruin?
Yes. I know exactly. The green-red?
Yes.
Yes.
Green-red for like 7, maybe?
Yeah, and it's insane.
I think, okay, its effect, if I'm correct, is anytime a player casts a non-creature spell, it deals damage to that player.
Correct. I believe you're right about that.
So that effectively changes the game.
Yeah.
It needs no other card for it to be good.
Right.
Quote,
it
unquote.
Just does things.
Right.
Like,
as
you play it and it's there.
It's max value, like, quickly.
Sure.
It's 0 to 100 is instantaneous.
Right.
That being said, even that can be analyzed more. Like, that is an expensive creature.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is also a creature that dies to any creature removal.
Yep.
It can get countered.
Yeah.
Like, there are situations where it doesn't work, but right away, it's a bomb.
And that's the thing. Like, that's where you have to judge, I think, the format more so than the card. In a limited environment,
very true.
It's fantastic, right?
100%.
Like, that's the bomb you want to open. If you're in those colors, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But in a constructed format, you really wouldn't play that. Maybe Commander, you get into some crazy things,
Sure,
but like
sure.
it's not so relevant in a constructed deck versus anything else.
That's
right?
a card you really want to play too, I think. Yeah, I think you're right. You don't throw it in a lot of constructed decks because it's not fast enough.
Sure.
Which another thing to consider is how soon you can cast it.
Right, and that sort of brings us to the first point, which is converted mana cost.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
That means so much, right? I mean, you have to be able to get your value out of your turn drops each time, right? So, like, we were talking earlier, a Grizzly Bear, a 2/2 for 2, right? There were formats back in the day where a 2/2 for 2 was fine, and limited, it's whatever.
Sure.
But it's not main deckable in any constructed deck, right?
No.
Like, you're not going to get any value out of it.
Right.
It's just a 2/2.
The only way it would be is if you have a card that says all bears get a thing.
And that's just not going to happen, right? Like,
No.
And so that's not a good card. Sure. Really anywhere, but if anywhere, it would be okay in a limited environment. But you look at cards like, we'll say Mana Leak, right?
Yeah.
That's a great counter.
Yeah, we'll talk about counters.
That's a good segue. Why don't we go into counters? I think
that's
the
a broad
start,
topic. Yeah.
the start of this is what makes a good counter.
Sure.
And the one most people I think genuinely do not like is cancel.
That's fair to say. So, Kevin, why don't people like cancel? What's wrong with
Well, here's the thing. Okay. The text on, if you just read the card, it says counter target spell. Perfect.
That's great.
That's exactly what you want. That's all it is, stripped down to the basic bare bones.
Yeah.
But it costs 2 blue and 1, right?
Ooh.
And so what you get is, first of all, if you're running multicolored decks, it's a little bit clunky to cast because you're not always going to have the 2 blue. Hopefully you will, but not always.
Well, let's say you do. It turns off other things for you. You might have used all your blue for your turn.
There you go. There. So it's not really, I mean, in limited again, that's where it would be at its best.
True.
And you can run it in limited when it's sort of the only option.
If you want.
But it's just not good. But then you look at a card like Mana Leak, which we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It costs 1 less, and that seems insignificant at first, right? Like, it's not a huge difference, but it really is.
It costs 1 less, and it gives your opponent an out.
Yes.
It's important to say.
And that's another thing, too. Mana Leak is good. I will say it has its limitations.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in the late game, it's not at its best. But in the early game, you get it a turn earlier than cancel. It's online a turn earlier.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to counter things in the early stages of the game without them really being able to do anything. And yes, it has the caveat. You can pay 3 mana to remove this effect. And that's kind of okay. Like, if you play it, if you counter your opponent plays a 2-drop on turn 5. First of all, if they're playing a 2-drop on turn 5, that's a problem in itself. You counter it, if that's all they have to sort of pay out for it. And then that's all they have. Yeah, so the information gain there is worth it.
And what kind of 2-drops are you going to play at turn 5? It's probably something like a combat trick.
Sure.
It's probably something like I get lifelink and I
Absolutely.
can swing this in my favor. if you counter that, like Kevin said, you take them out of their turn. They have no more mana to use whatever else
exactly. Yeah. It really, I mean, it blinks a turn is really what you're hoping for. I mean, really, it's going to counter most things, right? Like, especially in constructive formats, the games tend not to go super late. I mean, in a control deck, when you are playing Mana Leak, it's going to go pretty late, but you have other spells to back you up. Mana Leak's a good card.
Now, take Mana Leak. We say it's a good card.
Yeah.
Are there any instances where it's not a good card?
Absolutely.
Outside of the late game? What do you think?
Well, so my take on it is, and again, we're going to ask this question, what format are we in? Exactly. Because in Modern, Mana Leak's great, right? You see Mana Leak in most blue control decks. Yeah. Some either the full play set or usually a fairly high, 3 to 4 range is usually what you see for Mana Leaks. Okay. There's other good counter spells that are being played there, like Remand and things like that. But what you really don't see as many Mana Leaks if you go to a format like Legacy. And reason being, there's just better options, right? Force of Will. So good. It's basically free, right? Like, if you're running blue, you're gonna run Force of Will. It's basically free. Mental Misstep is a great example. You can cast that for nothing and counter a turn 1 play if it costs 1. And so there's just better options. Is what it amounts to. And so you're really not going to see it as much in those sort of larger card pool formats.
So you talked about converting mana cost. You talked about when you get things online. If you reel it back to the guys a second, reel it back to the dudes. I have a card in front of me that I wanted to talk about. I saw it in the Amonkhet set.
Okay.
And I was thinking about drafting cards.
Sure.
Card's Blood Rage Brawler. It's 1 red, 1 colorless.
Sure.
It is a 4/3, which is big.
Which is great stats.
That's almost unfair.
Yeah.
Its text says, when Blood Rage Brawler enters the battlefield, discard a card. Off the bat, to a new player, they don't want to get rid of things that they like.
You're exactly right.
I didn't want to take something out of my hand and put it in the graveyard.
And that's a trap, right? Yes. Like, that's exactly what that is. First of all, a 4/3 for 2 is great. Stats-wise, that's fantastic.
That is insane. 4 power on turn 2. They gave it to Mog Flunkies and said Mog Flunkies can't attack alone.
Exactly.
Right? And that Mog Flunkies is actually a 3/3.
Yeah, exactly. so like, you look at this and it's like, wow, minus the text on the card, this is amazing. Yes. And you look at the text on the card and it's easy to fall in that trap of, this is not so good.
I don't want to discard my stuff.
I don't want to discard a card. This isn't great.
But
that's where the deck comes into play.
Yes. Think about your set. Think about... if I'm drafting Blood Rage Brawler, this might be a first pick for me. Okay. In Amonkhet, specifically.
Sure.
So if I'm drafting a deck around, say, the really aggressive red combinations, they get plenty of things that say, you discard a card, and this creature gets whatever. Yeah. Discard a card and deal 2 damage.
Maybe it gets a buff. Maybe you shock something. Sure.
And in Amonkhet, we get this great new tool called Embalm.
Yeah.
We all know what it does, should by now anyway.
It's basically flashback for creatures, right? Like, you get to play your creature from the graveyard, maybe in the late game.
Yeah, a little more than their regular CMC. Well, not always, actually. There's
not always. There's a few exceptions, actually.
The other one I've got here, Honored Hydra.
You can actually play it for less.
Yes, 6/6 for 6, but its Embalm cost is 4. Which is so stupid.
And this sort of demonstrates the interaction perfectly, right? Like, say on turn 2, you play your Blood Rage Brawler. If you have the Honored Hydra in your hand, maybe that's the card you discard, because then on turn 4, you can play this out.
I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, that's the card out there, because that puts a threat guaranteed turn 4.
Which is fantastic.
Let's say I've only drawn lands. Yeah. I've still got my 6/6 just waiting on turn 4.
Which is just amazing.
10 damage, turn 4.
And I mean, you think about the value you're getting here on turn 2, a 4/3, and then on turn 4, a 6/6. That's power. That's super aggressive. Yeah. It's a really great card, honestly. I mean, again, you don't want it in every deck. It depends on the deck.
Of course. This does not work in Constructed mostly. Yeah. Outside of Limited. It'll work in Standard.
But here's... That's what I'm going to say. And now, this is more of a speculatory sort of comment here, but I think there could be viability for this, and it may be just on casual kitchen table Magic.
Sure.
That you could play this in a Reanimator variant.
Yes. I'm going to say, though, there are better ways to do what it does.
I would agree with that.
Which is a great way to phrase another thought we had about what makes a card good. Is, are there better ways to do this? Are there more efficient ways to do that?
And that came up with the counter spells. You know, in Legacy, there's just more effective counter spells.
Yes.
So, no, you're exactly right. But I think what you do get out of this is a 4/3 body, which isn't insignificant.
No, you're right.
In Modern or in any sort of Eternal format, it dies to Bolt, though.
Exactly.
And so you have to consider that if you were to consider putting this in your deck, you might lose it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I think in that case, you're right. It's probably better to use some other sort of discard outlet to get your Reanimator targets. So I would agree with you on that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
I actually want to talk about a card that I really liked.
Okay. Liked from what?
Liked from Amonkhet, I should say. We played a couple games. We both opened a fat pack on the last episode. We had our goal cards.
Yes.
I got mine.
Someone was fortunate enough to match it up.
As Foretold was my goal card. I got it immediately. First fat pack, and I was able to get it. So, a few packs in. Will here still is on the search for Neheb.
I am. Looking for my Minotaurs.
Yes, absolutely. Minotaur Tribal. But we did use those 10 packs that we got in each of our fat packs. We built some sort of a sealed deck, basically.
Yeah, just a really small deck for fun.
Absolutely.
To play with the cards, just kind of see how they feel.
Played a few games. Yeah. It was great. It was a good matchup. It was pretty close games.
Tricky games.
Yeah.
If we could do a match recap, I guess. Came down. We each played the same kind of deck.
We were both in Jund.
Yep.
Right. I was more splashing black.
Yeah.
I had only a couple black cards. I think 3.
I played a little more heavily into black.
Sure.
I used cards from black that would get me creatures back and would strictly upgrade my creatures. The guy that gives you a 2/2 zombie when he dies.
2 for 1 immediately, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's value in a limited environment, which we would consider this a limited environment. Sure. So, it was great matchups. I lost tremendously. I wouldn't say tremendously. It was close.
Skin of it. It came down to one turned it.
It came down to a combat trick that won you game 1. So, very fun, though. We both enjoyed it quite a lot. Cool. But a card that I ran 2 of in my deck is it's called Watchful Naga. Okay. It's an uncommon from Amonkhet. It's 2 colorless and a green for a 2/2 creature, which sounds bad, right? Like, that just sounds terrible.
Yeah, the power versus you generally, unless he's gonna go into it, but unless there's some great effect, you don't want to play a creature lower power than the CMC. That
absolutely not, especially in a set like this, which is pretty aggressive, as we learned. But its ability is something that I really enjoy. Being a blue player, I like card advantage. So you can exert Watchful Naga as it attacks, and if you do, you draw a card.
Yep.
Which is awesome, right? First of all, it's not on dealt damage. Right. It's on when it attacks.
So that means if I've got a trick that says Watchful Naga is dead, he still gets his card.
Exactly.
I don't have that trick. I've now got 2 damage. I have to consider, do I block? Do I not?
Exactly.
That's its own problem, but he still gets a card up basically for free.
Yeah, so no matter what, it's going to replace itself.
Yes.
And that's the key. It's a great card. It was a really good beater for me. I was able to tag it with the Cartouche, the black Cartouche, I believe, at some point, and give it lifelink and +1/+1. Yeah. Maybe I might be mixing that up with a different creature, but it was very, very good.
Yeah.
It drew me, I believe, in the first game, 3, maybe 4 cards. I believe it was 3. It got
in there a while. I could not answer it until I had to block
it was really great. So, very cool card. Yeah. I just want to point out that this doesn't necessarily, on the surface, if you're a new player, may not stick out to you as great.
Yes.
Because it is a 2/2 for 3, and the ability is good, but you wouldn't necessarily think, wow, this is amazing. Right? But it hits your curve perfectly. Turn 3, it's a great 3-drop. It does replace itself.
Yeah.
Maybe even gives you some extra card advantage, which is fantastic. Card advantage, I think, is, as most of us know, is just one of the most important things, right?
Yes. So card advantage really pushes the game in your direction almost every time. Anytime you can get it. There's a few different ways to get it, but generally speaking, any cards that let you get there are better.
Yes.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Going into card advantage, easiest way to get it, Kevin, would probably be draw spells.
Absolutely.
Am I mistaken?
No, you're exactly right. Your cantrips, stuff like for the older players, Brainstorm. For the modern players, Serum Visions is a great one.
Now I'm glad you bring that up.
We'll bring this up. Okay.
I'm gonna stick to that. Right here. That's on target. So Serum Visions. We laugh. Serum Visions is a $5 card, $8 card?
It's dropped a bit. Okay. It was reprinted like numerous times recently.
That's
so
true.
So it's dropped a few. It's still a couple bucks.
But it is a card that sees a lot of play in one format specifically. But it's legal in more than one.
It is.
Right?
But you do not see it anywhere else.
No. So why is that? Would you say?
So, okay.
You feel more strongly about this
I do feel pretty strongly about this. To be honest, I do not like Serum Visions.
No, he
I think
really
it's
doesn't.
a very bad card.
Yeah.
As far as cantrips go, you look at cards like, let's take Preordain, which is basically the reverse of Serum Visions.
Why is that better?
It's clearly better. The reason being, you scry 2 first, then you draw a card. So what you get is you can dig to up to 3 cards is what it amounts to.
Yes.
You look at the top 2, you decide, okay, are either of these cards that I want, and if so, in which order? If you don't like either of them, you can ditch them both, and then you draw your card.
Yeah.
So it gives you that sort of digging down before the draw.
Yeah.
In Serum Visions, you draw first, you have no manipulation of that card, then you get to scry 2.
I think is okay.
It's not terrible.
It's not. There are worse draw spells. There's
No.
Divination. It's printed in every core set.
Which is good and limited.
That's true. Yeah, there's not a lot of other draw cards in limited.
Sure.
Probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's new ones occasionally, but...
But the reason, though, that you think of Preordain better than Serum Visions is, our deck, after we shuffle it, is totally random.
Absolutely.
The only thing we can influence there, sort of, because you can affect the frequency.
Absolutely,
right?
you can.
And anytime you get more information about your deck, via scrying, via drawing, via put this card X amount of cards under your whatever.
Absolutely.
Anytime you get that, you have something to play to and play around. Whereas your opponent may only have 7 cards in his hand, 1 random card on top. They have less information to work with.
Right.
Of course, if they're holding a bomb, things can change. But essentially, more information for yourself is better. Cut down the randomness. Play to your strengths. Is what I'm saying. So that is why Serum Visions, and I do agree with Kevin. I don't think it's as bad as Kevin thinks, but I think he's right in that Serum Visions, outside of forgive me, modern is just not. It's not good. Just don't.
You just wouldn't use it. You just have better options. It's the exact same thing with the Mana Leak.
You should use Preordain.
You would use something else.
Yeah.
Ponder's great. Again, you dig 3. Then you even get, if you don't like any of those 3, you get a 4th draw, essentially. Like, if you don't like those, you shuffle them away, and then you get to dig again. Brainstorm is great. That's the classic, right? Like, this is the classic draw spell, cantrip, instant speed, look at the top 3, put 1 in your hand, put the other 2 back on top.
Yeah.
And it's great, specifically Brainstorm is great because you interact with fetch lands so well, right? Like, if you look at the top 3 cards, if you don't like them, or if there's one you like but the other 2, not so much, you put 1 in your hand, you put the other ones back on top, then you can fetch, shuffle those away, right?
Yeah.
And then you get a new draw step. So it interacts extraordinarily well with the lands that are played in the format where it's legal, which is Legacy, the older formats.
You're exactly right.
So that's my rant, I would say, on Serum Visions, though, that it just doesn't hold up.
We've talked about it a few times, and he's got a good point. It makes sense to me. I'd defend him on that. I also defend Serum Visions. Maybe I'm just too friendly.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
What's next on the list?
So next on the list, do you want to go more into our game we played?
Oh, yeah, we can. I have another card that I'd really like to point out that I really enjoy. I was a little surprised. I knew cards like this would be good and limited, but I didn't know quite how good.
Okay, what you got?
It is called the Uncropped Crasher.
Yes, I'm glad you brought it up because I love it also.
It is a great aggressive red card. It's 2 and a red for a 3/2 Minotaur Warrior. So you get your tribal, your favorite.
I'm happy. The 3 best cards I've found are all Minotaurs. So.
They're all great. So it's a 3/2 with haste for 3. first of all, it has haste. That is just great, right? Like in an aggressive format, that's exactly what you want. It gets in there immediately.
Yes.
On top of that,
okay,
you can exert it, and you get to choose target creature that cannot block this turn.
That is big.
That's huge, right? Like you specifically remove any creature you want from combat, essentially, and you can get in for free damage with this. It's great. I mean, it really is great. And because it has 2 toughness, it dies a little easier.
That is true.
And I think that's why this ability is so important, right? Because you can remove whatever could potentially profitably block this creature, right?
So let's change up the conversation just for a thought exercise. Let's say Uncropped Crasher, rather. It doesn't have target creature can't block this turn. It's got something like +1/+1.
Sure.
Or let's say lifelink.
Yeah.
Something like that. Does something else make it as good?
I don't know that it does, right? Because the thing about this is, and I think we have 2 cards laid out here, Ember Horn Minotaur and then the Crop Crasher.
Yeah.
In this situation, say the Ember Horn is already out. For those of you who don't know, it's a 3 and a red for a 4/3.
Yes.
Okay? Say I attack in with my Crop Crasher, which is a 3/2. Clearly, you would just block it, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
I win the combat.
Exactly. Like, it's a very good way to go. You trade it off, and then you're good to go.
Yep.
However, I can just remove it from the it blanks it for a turn, right? Like I can say no, you can't block it.
Right.
Yes, there's the side effect that I can't untap it the next turn. But in a highly aggressive, deck, which is what this would go into,
100%.
it really doesn't matter, right? Like you're just trying to get in as much damage as you can as soon as you can.
You are worried less about preserving your life at the expense of attacking them.
Yes, I would agree with that completely.
Which red always plays well into, but I think this being the first set I've opened in a while, but I think red in Amonkhet does it beautifully.
Absolutely.
If you're drafting, just kind of an aside, if you're drafting, look for red stuff.
Yeah.
Man, limited as being an aggressive format, like Kevin said, is just complemented so well by stuff like this. Even Ember Horn Minotaur. This
is It Resolves, where we learn how to speak correctly.
Speak, read, learn.
We do a lot of things here, not just magic related.
I'm teaching myself here. Ember Horn Minotaur.
There we go. Sound it out.
Is also an excellent card.
Sure.
Especially for limited. You can exert it as well. Gets +1/+1 and menace.
Oh, now for those of viewers who don't know, what is menace?
So menace, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Menace is it cannot be blocked by 1 or fewer creatures.
Correct. It has to be blocked by at least 2 creatures, is what menace states. So if you run it into a board with only 1 creature and you exert it, it becomes unblockable immediately.
The same thing as the Crop Crasher, the Crop Smasher, the hash slinging smasher.
A great limited card, I would agree, and they do very similar things because of that menace ability. So very cool,
fantastic stuff. Anything else you want to say about our game? I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it quite a lot. I wish I had won.
I don't often get to win, but
you've won a lot recently. We've played some other games, and Will's taken over a bit.
I would say taken over. I've gotten lucky and punchy, and every now and then I come out on top.
Fair.
All right.
Fair. All right. So, second episode, second time we're going to be doing this. Crack a pack. We're back. And the thing about this is, as we stated in the first episode, it's not just a crack a pack, right? Like, we want to set a goal. We want to get to a specific card.
I love my Minotaurs, and I love Tribal. I love, big stompy guys.
Absolutely. So
I'm looking for a dude.
Which is the perfect segue. Let's talk about your card that you're looking for. First of all, last week or last episode, whenever that aired, we each said our cards. Mine was As Foretold.
Great card.
I got it in the fat pack.
Super
it was a
jealous.
Great card. Really, really excited. So I win the first round, is what this amounts to.
Oh, absolutely.
Clearly.
We're counting points. Kevin's got a...
Like, you may be winning the games of Magic that we play,
True.
But the important thing is that I pulled my card first.
What's more is you got what you want.
Yes. So let's go into what your card is.
Way to take winning from me.
I do what I can.
You do play blue.
I do play blue. Yeah. Why don't we talk about your goal card? What is it?
My goal card, Neheb the Worthy.
Great creature.
Neheb? Knee-high?
Knee-high shoes.
His name is, I don't know. You know, with like wizards' names, they're so hard to pronounce sometimes. You just gotta guess.
Yeah, you really do.
But he's a Minotaur creature, legendary creature. 2/2 for 3 with first strike, and other Minotaurs I control have first strike. First strike is good.
It's really, in an aggressive deck, in an aggressive format, it's great,
yeah,
right?
I'll say that.
You're going to hit first. You're going to be able to wipe boards a little easier than others.
Double strike.
Sure.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It says, as long as you have one or fewer cards in hand, Minotaurs I control get +2/+0. Whenever Neheb the Worthy deals combat damage to a player, each player discards a card. Each player, discards a card. This works in synergy with so many cards in the set. Cards that say, each time you discard or cycle, you get a thing.
Right.
It says, hey, you have a embalm guy you need in the graveyard, throw him in there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with your Honored Hydra earlier, it's a perfect card for that.
Or if you run the red god, you discard cards and boom, you've got your god online.
You all of a sudden, yeah, exactly. You get it online.
So it is great. It's a great wheel card. It's an engine for your deck. If you're playing towards that aggressive constructed thing. So I want him.
Okay.
I want to add him to my collection.
All right.
My army.
Now hold on. I'm gonna go into mine. Okay.
Please do. Forgive me.
Before we open these packs, I have a new gold card, as I did open mine last time. And I'm gonna stick with Amonkhet. I picked a card from the set.
That's fair.
The card I want is Aven Mind Sensor.
Okay.
This is a reprint.
I like
Most
it. Yeah.
everybody knows it is a reprint, but it's a great reprint, right? It's a hate bear card.
Yeah.
It's 2 and a white for a 2/1 bird wizard.
Bird wizard. You heard that
Now,
right.
again, those stats don't seem great.
Wizard.
It's perfect. Okay, so it has flash, so you can play it at instant speed.
Yep.
It has flying. And if an opponent would search a library, that player searches only the top 4 cards instead of their entire library.
Yeah.
The reason this is so good is fetch lands.
Yep.
It hoses fetch lands. That's the goal.
It hoses fetch lands. It hoses tutors.
Tutors are another one. It really is great. It's a very cool hate bear card. And so I do not own any of the original print run.
Oh, okay.
So I'd really love to get one. That's my goal.
Okay. I hope you do.
Well, thank you.
I hope you do.
We've already got our packs.
Yeah.
We've opened them, but we haven't looked at them.
No, I've seen his rare and he's seen
and
mine.
I've seen his.
But I don't know what it's gonna be.
So, Will, without further ado,
I wanna see. It's not the guy.
It's not the guy, but it's not bad.
No. So, Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons. Whenever the Vizier of Poisons deals combat damage to a player, I may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Whenever I put one or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, create a 1/1 green snake creature token with Death Touch. Now this is a 2/2 for 2, so automatically its body is rounded out.
Absolutely.
So, first thing to note. Second thing, that's pretty good value for combat damage.
Absolutely.
That's strong.
Yes.
You get it out on turn 2. It's probably got a good opportunity to sneak in for damage.
Sure. Well, and also it's worth noting with combat tricks, things like that, especially in limited environments.
Sure.
You're going to be able to push this through for at least a couple points of damage occasionally. So,
sure. And
very cool card.
Those things that it nets you points of damage, you get stuff off of that.
Exactly. I mean, it's an engine. It's a 1-card engine.
Yeah,
it's
the
really what it
-1/-1,
amounts to.
that kind of theme is going around on Monkhet. It's on a lot of cards. I'm flipping through a few, and I've already found one that...
Well, the black-green synergy is sort of with those counters. You really get to manipulate those counters. You place them on your creatures. You remove them to do really cool things.
Get to do fun stuff. Yeah.
It's very cool.
Downsides, I want to point out, it's a legendary creature. I can only have one of them at a time.
Only have one of them at a time, sure.
Not awesome. But I've just realized that this doesn't have to deal the combat damage to get the snakes.
Well,
just
then
when
there
I
you
move
go.
the -1/-1 counter.
Absolutely. So, very cool card.
Versatile. I like it. Not bad. Still not my Minotaur guy, but hey.
Maybe next time.
I ain't mad at her.
All right. This is it.
What you got, Kev?
Can I do it 1 for 1 on this episode?
What do you think? What are your odds here? I know the
My
answer,
odds
so you don't wanna take a bet with me.
are no. No, it's not going to happen.
Right. Fair, good odds.
So if it does,
I might just have to worship you.
we'll work on that. It'll be great.
The Church of Kevin.
The Church of Kevin.
You?
We just offended some people. All right. Here we go. Get that island out of the way.
Yeah, I didn't move that for you.
All right. I didn't get it.
No.
But I did get a cool Aftermath card. So
maybe.
This is Dusk and Dawn. Dusk says 2 and 2 white, sorcery speed, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. So it's the standard Wrath, right?
Yeah.
It's conditional Wrath, but
Yes.
I will say a lot of the creatures in this set generally have pretty high
They do.
power.
This is
So
high-powered set.
really not bad. Dawn, I can cast it with Aftermath for 3 and 2 white. Remove all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Return, sorry, not remove.
Gotcha.
Return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty cool.
Yeah, with these Aftermath cards, I'm in a tough spot.
Okay.
Firstly, why not just print cards side by side like you did in Ravnica? They just look funny this way. I don't know. That's a personal thing.
Well, they can't redo it.
Rosewater. Sorry. Another thing.
Sure.
I haven't seen one yet. I could be wrong. I haven't seen one for instant speed yet. It's all sorcery.
I believe there are a few.
There's Earth and Heaven and Earth.
Heaven and Earth.
Speed.
Right.
It might just be Heaven. The Heaven portion is instant.
One of the
But my point is, to balance Magic, they've got to take things like instant away from effects like this.
Sure.
Which feels bad. Right?
I agree.
So in Standard, sure, you might want to include that.
Yeah.
In Vintage, in Modern.
And no other format will this see any play. There's just the only thing I can think of, which is really kind of cool. The Dust side is like your standard Wrath, conditional Wrath, but it's a standard one for whatever. It's fine. The Dawn side, return all creatures with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand, is kind of interesting to me because it feels like Rally the Ancestors. It feels like a Rally the Ancestors-esque card, right? Where you get to pull all of these creatures back that may form some sort of a combo. And that way, if your combo gets broken up, this could be your catch-all, And it may not be. There's better cards for it, like Rally and things like that. So it just feels sort of like that, which I do like.
Something to consider though with these Aftermath cards is you're getting related cards printed on
right
for one card. But sometimes you might just want that Aftermath effect.
You're right.
Right?
And if you have a way to get this into the graveyard,
perfect. There you
go.
And this is one card taking up effectively 2 effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different effects. So if you're constructing a deck, you really almost get free things to do.
Yeah, and
right.
I think that's sort of a basis of this set, right? Like you get sort of 2-for-1s pretty regularly.
Yeah, there's a lot of value here.
There is. The Aftermath cards, it's 2 cards in one.
Yeah.
It's just like the split cards from a long time ago, except in this case you use them sort of at different times.
Right.
More often I think you'll get to use both sides of these.
Yeah.
Whereas with the original split cards, you sort of just picked one, or if you could do both, you could do
awesome.
both.
Yeah.
But generally you can just pick one side and make it happen. And with that, Embalm is a great effect where you can sort of get your creatures back. You get a lot of 2-for-1s in this format, or in this set, I would say.
They kind of have the same theme or feeling, at least in the Cons block, I'll say.
Okay.
Where a lot of creatures added more value to themselves.
Yeah. And
were strong.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Which I like as a direction, I enjoy.
Oh, I do too.
I like powerful creatures. This is something that's talked about every now and then, how Wizards used to print insanely powerful spells.
Right.
And the creatures, well, were less.
They didn't hold up, we'll say. Not as well.
Yeah, you don't really see creatures from the Revised Edition,
from
Alpha, played really anywhere.
Well, and the reason for that, I think, is they're just so easily dealt with. And that's what it amounts to. A spell, an instant speed spell, unless you're a control deck, you generally aren't going to be able to do anything about it.
It's almost untouchable.
And that's important, whereas a creature, because it sticks around, you have a turn or two usually to say, I'm going to deal with this threat.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get a threat out of an instant or a sorcery, it's just there, right? Like, that's just it. And so you don't get that opportunity unless you are playing counter spells to sort of bounce back and say, no, you don't get to do that.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I mean?
I believe I do. So, in thinking about that and thinking about what makes a card good, a lot of things to consider.
Absolutely.
Main takeaway is really, it's situational. Sure, there are bad cards. Your Dagger Drome Imps, your Electrickeries, your other things. Electrickeries.
Electrickery is a good card.
All right. But yes, everything is situational. It's circumstantial. Finding things that work in your set, awesome. If you can squeeze value out of something that doesn't have much value elsewhere, you've kind of won the mini game of Magic.
Right. I mean, that's really the goal. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can build whatever deck you want, and as long as you're enjoying yourself, you're having fun. That's what matters, right? Like, you can put a deck full of grizzly bears together, and man, if you love playing grizzly bears, you'll be the happiest person in the world.
You'd have to really like it.
You would, but hey, if somebody does that and wins, that's kind of awesome.
Okay, challenge for you, Kevin.
Okay.
If you can build a deck of just bears,
right,
any kind, just bear something,
okay,
and beat me, I will eat, something gross.
Something gross.
A burnt pistachio. I don't know.
That's not that gross. That's not gross enough. I want you to open the oven.
Okay.
Okay. Scrape some of the residue.
Oh, man.
Out from inside the oven.
It would, if you would just have, scrape some of that black stuff out of there, I'd still be on board. Just residue?
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's the bet.
You know how girls don't like moist? I think I found my moist. I think it's residue.
I don't like moist as a word either.
Do you not?
No, I really don't.
It's so strange to me.
It's such a just unpleasant word.
But it's cute. It's fine.
No.
It's just moist.
Ugh.
No?
No. Not gonna do it for me.
Weird. All right.
Anyway, all right. So neither of us got our goal card.
Nah.
Hopefully next time one of
crossed.
us will. We'll see what happens.
And if Kevin pulls it, if he pulls my Minotaur, I'm gonna eat his face off.
Yeah, it should be noted, if I pull his card or if he pulls my card, that doesn't count. No. We just get mad at each other and you guys get to enjoy it. So.
And laugh at our frustration.
Right. It may be that we are in Amonkhet for a while.
It's a nice place to be, though.
It is.
And so, since we're here until the next set, we'll talk about it a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll hit on some more things. There's some events coming up, the Grand Prix, things like that. If some interesting developments come out of those, changing meta, things like that, we'll touch on those. And yeah, I think anything else? No,
man.
All right.
I feel good. I feel good about Amonkhet.
I do too. It's a great set. For those of you who haven't played it, you definitely should. It's a great set.
A lot of sets have kind of felt underwhelming.
Yeah.
This one, it just kind of turned a corner.
It did. You know? It feels powerhouse.
It
just feels like a powerhouse.
Kind of new Magic. Yeah. Honestly.
In a way.
Standard kind of goes through that role where it gets stagnant and then something happens.
Yeah.
This is that something.
I think so. And as we all can tell from the artwork, Nicol Bolas will be coming back.
Yeah, for those lore junkies, anyone who likes the story that Wizards has made, they should get on board with that.
Yeah, I think this is going to bring some of that back.
It's Nicky B.
The Bolas father will be returning to us. I know I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited.
I just want to see if he's a Planeswalker again. Because
he will be.
Overpowered
There's no doubt he will be.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. We hope you guys are. We hope that you have enjoyed our second episode of It Resolves.
Yeah.
We will be back again with some more episodes, some more content. We hope you guys enjoy that as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll hit these gold cards.
Find some good cards, find some better cards, play with some bad cards.
It's going to be awesome.
Just play Magic.
Just play Magic.